and he's going to protect this with regards to
with all of his experience with signing ceasefires.
I'm not really voting for Trump, I'm voting against him.
Okay, you can go sit down. So thank you, I appreciate that. That was just cool to hear what one guy, who doesn't seem like a psychopath, why he would want to vote for that orange, sexual assaulting, fake college starting monster.
Ouch! She didn't stop there. Amy Schumer told folks in the audience, if you don't like it, leave.
So everybody point to the people booing. Just point to, okay, so go. Told you. Right.
So Vanity Fair followed up with her. She released a statement and in part said this, quote, I want to thank the 8,400 people who stayed. We've always depended on comedians to make us laugh and tell the truth. I am proud to continue that tradition. So let's bring in Jay Cridlin, pop music and culture critic for the Tampa Bay Times, who was there, and my friend Judy Gold, comedian, producer, writer, actress. You can hear her on her podcast, Kill Me Now. So great to have both of you on. Thanks. Full disclosure, I just read Amy Schumer's book like in a day. I think she's hysterical. That said, Jay, you were there. You were at the show. You saw the bit with Dave. Tell me more about what happened.
Well, for the first half of the show, it was about like you would expect with Amy Schumer. It was a lot of talk about sex, her body, her self-image, her celebrity. Kind of the comedy that I think she was more traditionally known for. Last couple of years, she's gotten a lot more issue-oriented, but then she sort of segued from the sex and relationship stuff into politics, using Donald Trump in the past week and a half of accusations as a segue. And then the mood kind of changed a little bit. It wasn't necessarily rehearsed material. If it was, it wasn't entirely fully baked. I know I wrote tense in my notebook in all caps. And for the next few minutes, yeah, it got a little uncomfortable in the arena.
Listen, I'm not Amy Schumer. I don't know what was rehearsed and what wasn't and what she just went with. But when you see these 200 people, Jay, just staying with you, getting up and leaving, what are they saying? What's the issue?
Well, when she brought up Donald Trump, you could hear amidst all the 8,400 people cheering a lot of boos. I mean, it was a divisive reaction. Tampa has a very conservative side. It's a military town, and I think a lot of people might have been there who didn't necessarily know or love Amy Schumer for her issue-oriented comedy, and maybe they came just to see a comedy show. I know at the beginning of the show, Amy said, there's a lot going on out in the world these days. I'm hoping that we can just kind of come together and have a good show. And maybe they just weren't expecting to get a piece that didn't feel totally like comedy. It just felt like she was stump speeching a little bit, and nothing wrong with that. I think if you go to a comedy show, part of the bargain is you should listen to what the comedian has to say. But some people did not want to. They didn't want to stick around for when she veered it back into more traditional bits. They wanted to get up and get out.
Okay, Judy, let me turn to you, and also full disclosure on you. You're buddies with Amy. I know it's great fodder. Like all the comedians right now are grabbing this and running with it, whether it's making fun of Hillary or making fun of Donald. Right. But the issue with Amy Schumer, a lot of the folks apparently said, I went to a comedy show, escapism, I don't want to hear about politics, and there she went. If you were on the stage, what would you have done?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say I just watched the bit and it was hilarious. And she brought someone up, asked him a question, and it was funny. She gave that person I don't know.
So the Trump supporters would obviously say it wasn't funny.
You know what?
Is there a line in comedy right now?
There is a line in not taking yourself too seriously, and Trump is not funny. He's not funny. He's dangerous. He says the most horrible things about so many different kinds of people, and he has no sense of humor about himself. I mean, you see him on Saturday Night Live. He is the biggest honor is to be made fun of on Saturday Night Live. That means you made it. When someone decides to write a sketch about you on Saturday Night Live, you've arrived. And yet he cannot laugh at himself. He does not see the humor. My mother used to say, if I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying. And the things that come out of his mouth, Amy and every other comic we are social commentators. This is the zeitgeist right now. This Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and the constant sound bites that we hear from him that is what I go to a restaurant and that's all people are talking about. You cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore it. And if you watch the tape, and I know, because I know someone who was there were about 24 people who left. There weren't 200. And so there you have over 8,000 people laughing. I see comics who say anti-gay things or misogynist things. And you know what? Sometimes they're really funny, and I can laugh at it and know that it's a joke.
I guess my question would be, Jay, just pivoting back to you since you were there, and if you are an Amy Schumer fan, and listen, when you follow her on Instagram, it's very clear where she is on how she supports Hillary Clinton, and also it's funny, I'm listening to this whole conversation, I'm thinking of Donald Trump even saying we're all too politically correct, and maybe he's right.
Right.
Jay, do you think that's fair? It's comedy. To Judy's point, why are people taking themselves so seriously? How would you take that on?
Well, to be fair, after the Donald Trump bit in her act, Amy kind of launched right back into a lot more self-deprecating material. She sort of segued out of the not so planned interaction with the audience member into a story about performing at Hillary Clinton's birthday party. And there, a lot of the punchline was, I don't belong here, I should not be doing this. And there was a lot more of that for the rest of the set. I don't think she takes herself too seriously at all. She just wanted to take, as she said in the set, about 5 minutes to talk about something serious. She said, this is too important, it's too important a time, I want to let you guys know where I stand. And some people didn't have it, but I think if they'd stuck around, they would have seen that she definitely does have a self-deprecating side, and they should know that if they bought the ticket going in. And she wasn't afraid to use even that part of her comedy later on.